Okay, I think we're live. Hey everybody. Hope you are having a good day. Oh Lord, I hope I can see something. I'm going to do a little bit of base coating tonight. I haven't been doing a lot of base coating for you guys because I really didn't think you'd need it. How's everybody doing? Hi Joyce, how are you? My camera angle's a little different tonight. I'll tell y'all why here in just a second. There is a method to my madness, believe it or not. Okay. All right. Gonna let everybody jump on. So here's the deal. I haven't been doing a lot of base coating, but tonight I'm going to base coat an item that's actually, I'm going to start by base coating an item that's not actually going to be painted till next week. But I kind of just wanted to show, I think every now and then if I get on and show some base coating, that's kind of a helpful reminder. Maybe we have new folks with us. So I'm going to start tonight. First of all, we are going to do the lean-to sign that says welcome on one side and sunflowers on the other. We are doing that, or I'm doing that. But before that, I'm going to base coat this Boo Ghost, okay? So here's the deal. I'm going to change the camera angle a little bit so y'all can see. I had to change it for tonight because we are doing that vertical sign, so I had to get the angle pretty long. But before we do that, I just want to quickly base coat. This is a Boo Ghost. Up here's the ghost, here's the Boo. It didn't etch very clearly, so I kept this one for myself. And I'm going to show you how I base coat. Now you don't have to do this, but it might be something you want to try out. I usually base coat most things with a roller. My first coat, I should say. Almost the primering coat. Maybe base coat isn't the right word. My first coat, which is like a primer coat, right? So I know that my Boo, the majority of my Boo is going to be orange. So I base coat a lot with rollers. Now in this case, I'll probably put 2 coats on him. So I'll put him over there to dry, under the dryer, and I'll bring him back before tonight's over. Like I said, this is not the piece we're going to do tonight, but I just wanted you to see me doing some base coating. Hope you guys are having a good Friday. It is Friday. We made it to Friday. Sometimes I wonder. So I'm just taking, this is the number, oh Lord, 16 light orange, I think. Let me make sure I'm telling y'all right. Yeah, it's the number 16 light orange. That's typically what I use on most all of my pumpkins or orange things for Halloween or fall. And I'm just taking that the roller, and I'm just kind of coming right up there close. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect because this is just my first coat. Think of it as the base coat or the primer coat. But it's a good way to get a lot of paint on there very quickly. So it didn't take me long. The orange is done. And y'all know I put these in my Ziploc bag. So watch what I do for the, hey Brian, hey Connie, hey Deborah, how are y'all? I have my angle on a little different tonight because I'm doing a vertical sign and I'm having a hard time getting the whole sign in the view of you guys, and I need y'all to see as much of it as you can. So on this Boo Ghost, I'm going to go ahead and go around my corner like my edges the way I always do. And like I said, I usually always do my first coat with the roller. You don't have to, but it's just kind of one of those things. I want you to see what I do, and then you can pick and choose what you want to do. So I'm going to make my ghost put quite a bit of paint on there because this roller is pretty dry. And once I have my roller loaded the way I think I want it, I'm going to kind of slow down and come right over here close. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to do a lot of shading and some other colors, the blues and all of that. So I'm not worried about it being perfect. But I just need a good base coat there, and I just take that roller and I just do it like this. There we go. If you definitely start doing anything that's very big, you'll get to using the roller. It'll be your friend. Small stuff, not so important. It doesn't really matter. All right, I'm going to load this roller again, just like I talk about making sure you have enough paint on your brush. I want to make sure you got enough paint on that roller. And I'm just coming in there like that. Kind of twisting it to get it in there in the curvy part. Okay, he's done. He'll need a second coat, but that'll take less time than rollering the first coat actually took. Hey Victoria, how are you? Hi Terry, how are you doing? So glad you guys could join me. It's Friday, yay, 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 yay. All right, I wanted to base coat that. This guy's coming up next week, but I just wanted to give you a little preview. Took me about a minute or two. I'm gonna put it over here under the dryer and I'll be right back and we're gonna start on that vertical sign. Okay, now you're fixing to see why I changed the angle of the camera for tonight. We're gonna see how this works. Okay, I've got some what I call like they're little paint risers. But you can get them at Home Depot. I don't remember how much I paid for them. They're not very expensive. And the reason I have these is I have a two-sided sign. So y'all can see my tables are dirty or got a lot of paint on them. And we don't want that. So what we're going to do, we're going to start tonight with this welcome sign. Now, just for grins, I went ahead and I did, I base coated this 2 coats of white. And once that was dry, I base coated roughly my letters, okay? And I only did that because I'm trying to make sure inside the video that I'm doing that you guys kind of get a very beginning to the very end kind of thing. So sometimes I have to kind of start with stuff being base coated because if I don't, it's going to take so long, it's not going to work. So here's the deal. I've got 2 coats of white and then of course my letters, I just did 1 coat of black. And you can see my letters are not perfect, so but they're close enough for what I'm doing right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this color called nutmeg. I think it's number 33 nutmeg. Is that backwards? Let me try this. See if that's any better. Is that any better for y'all? Y'all let me know if that's better. Can you read it or not? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to use a paper plate. And I'm going to use the chip brush. Now we have these chip brushes at the shop. I think this is the one we have. You don't have to use this one, but if you, whatever you use, try to get something that the edges are kind of jaggedy and not perfect. It's going to make your life easier. So say for example, if you have something like this at your house, nothing wrong with this brush, but you're going to have a harder time because look how beautiful and straight and flat all those bristles are right there. That's going to be harder to dry brush, in my opinion. You can still do it. It just makes it a little harder. So you don't have to have our chip brush. If you can find any old brush, it doesn't matter. Whatever you got laying around the house. Hey, Ashley, how are you? All right. Here's another one. This is an older one that I had. Here's the thing about dry brushing. It's kind of the opposite of what you would think of normally painting. Meaning, oftentimes Ashley and I are saying, oh, we got a lot of paint on here. We got a lot of paint. But now with dry brushing, it's kind of the opposite. You really don't want a lot of paint. I also dry brush with water because, especially for the look that we're going for tonight, if you notice, I have a pretty little dab of paint, but I'm going to put maybe a little bit more than a quarter's worth, circle if you will. And notice what I'm doing. I'm making my paint very, 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 very watery. Because if I don't, the paint will get on there in such a way that it'll be so thick, it'll cover up all the white. You don't want to cover up all of your white. You just want to kind of show it off a little bit, okay? I don't have a lot of paint here because I don't need a lot. Here's my chip brush. What you want to do is you want to put some on and then you want to go back and kind of tap it off or kind of brush it off like that. The secret to this, I think, is doing long strokes. Now, it's not hard to do, And you want to be careful because no matter what you do, it's going to show. If you lift up right here, it's going to show. Now, obviously, I'm going over the black letters. I'll fix that later. If I were you, I wouldn't even paint the black letters until you've done all your dry brushing. The reason I painted the black letters is for purposes of the video and being quick about it. So, if I were you, if I were just doing this and not in the video format, I would paint 2 coats of white. I would do all of my dry brushing. Well, 2 coats of white, let it dry. Do all of my dry brushing, let it dry, and then I would do the black letters. So I'm just kind of going back and forth. I don't want a whole lot of paint on there. I want it to almost look like it's a stain. It's not a stain, but almost kind of have that look of transparency where you can see the white. It depends on how much you put on here. It's simply personal preference. But I do kind of take my brush. Notice I'm going this way, but on the sides, I have a tendency to kind of turn it this way and make those sides just a little heavier, just because that's what I like. Doesn't mean you have to do that. You kind of do whatever you like. And you just kind of go back and forth. I'm putting paint on, I'm taking paint off. Now you can kind of see why I changed the angle of my camera for tonight, because I really want you guys to see this as much as we can, right? Let me pull this down because I want y'all to see the edges too. Okay, so when I'm doing this welcome up here, what I do, because I kind of like the idea of having a little more paint on the edges, right, or on the side, the corners, right? So I'll come in here and I'll do this, right? And then I'll kind of just sit here and hit this part. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to get a little bit more paint there at the top. Show off that edge there. And again, I'm making long strokes. When you get to the side over here, I'll turn the brush differently, and I'll kind of just concentrate on doing the side, or doing the edge, not the side, but the edge right here. This is strictly what pleases your eye. You don't have to do it as heavily as I. You may like it with not as much. Turn the camera so you can see me down here. I know it's not a very good angle, y'all, but it's not my friend right now. I'm trying. Okay. Go back and forth. And I'm just going back and forth. I never load my brush up with too much paint at one time, till I kind of get to the corners of it, and then I have a tendency to load it more just because I like those sides right there having a little more paint on them. Kind of gives you a border, like you have a border. And then down here, notice what I'm doing, I'm just kind of coming down here and hitting it again and again and again, getting a little more paint down here at the bottom. Then I'm going to go here. Coming up this side a little bit. And I think I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm getting enough on there. I might do just a little more. You just kind of keep going back and forth until you have enough on there for what you want. Now, something you don't have to do, but something I chose to do the other time when I was doing this, when I actually made one before the video. Let me show you. This is shading red. And when I tell you I'm just getting a little bit of it, maybe that much right there, just a tad. What am I going to do? I'm going to take that shading red and I'm going to mix it in here with what I got left. Not a lot, but a little bit. Nothing like taking your fingers. All right. You can see it's kind of getting a little bit red on me, which is what that's the look I want. You may not like this. You may totally skip this. It's totally up to you. But I'm going to load that same brush a little bit. I'm going to kind of offload it. I'm going to put a little bit of red on this because I kind of like that look. If you don't like it, just skip it. You don't have to mess with it. Actually, I got a little too much there, so I'm going to kind of try to back off a little bit. Probably going to take this and turn it sideways so I don't get as much wide stroke. I'm kind of streaking it, if you will. And I'm just kind of hitting it different places. Don't want it perfect. That's not what we're doing. Y'all probably feeling drunk with the way I'm turning the camera. This is a long piece, so I'm having a hard time. And I'm just going to do this just till I get it where I want it. No right or wrong. Something I like. I got a little bit of what you might think of as red highlight. I'm leaving it alone. I'm good to go. Okay. So at that point, what I would do is I'm going to set this over here, and we're going to work on sunflower side. Let's see, got some more paint risers because I have to have those. Let me set this over here. Get this out of the way, and I'm going to put this other one down. I'm going to let that dry. Okay, so here I am with my dry part, and I've got it all the way I want it over here, which is good. But over here, I did a little bit of base coating of white, just like I showed you. And after the white, I did the nutmeg. These circles are nutmeg. I did 2 coats of white and I think 2 coats of nutmeg. So what I would do, now I have more red on this one, so I'll probably set this one aside. I'll start me another one, and I'll come back to that red one at the end. Doing it just like I did a while ago. Not a lot of paint, say maybe that much. And just so you know, this nutmeg will, I will have done 2 signs with just this, whatever this is, 1 ounce jar, 2 of them. So you don't need a lot of nutmeg. I'm going to do it like this. I got my water in there. Kind of use that brush to brush that off. Yeah. I'm going to stir, 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 stir. I think I'll put a little more water in there. Okay? Stir, 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 stir. Okay. Till I get it the way I think I want it. Now I've got a lot of paint on here. So I'm probably going to do this because I have too much on here. Get some of that off of there. Okay? Do the same thing. Make long strokes. And there's no right or wrong. You just kind of do what you think, what you like. Stop when you think you have enough. You don't think you have enough, keep going. Now this guy, I'm kind of avoiding the flowers because there's no point in doing the flowers. Flowers are going to get covered up as far as the streaking or the dry brushing goes. But just like I did on that other one, I kind of hit it here on the edges and the corners. And turn it down here so y'all can see this end. Gonna do this bottom like I told you. Got way too much paint at that bottom. Can y'all see it? Way too much. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna wipe right back off in that direction. Okay, I think I'm pretty close to what I want. So I'm gonna go over here. I'm going to pick up this red that I didn't use a while ago. Again, you don't have to use the red. You don't like the red, no worries, just don't use it. Okay, let's come back over here. Long strokes, nothing to it. A chip brush, if you have, or any brush that's kind of jaggedy on the edges, it really doesn't matter. If you have an old brush that's all beat up, that'll work. And if you don't like the red, don't put it on there. You can stay with the more darker browns. Okay, I think I like what I have, so not real sure yet, so I'm going to cover this up in case I want to come back to it. I'm going to set this on here and cover it up just in case I want to come back to it if I find a spot. You know, if I find a spot that I think I've missed, I'm going to cover those two up and set them aside. Okay, so now we're at the part where we can do our, the yellow part here. So here's the question. Is my yellow going to cover this up? It may not. So we're going to do a little experimenting, okay? All right. So I've got my yellow. That is number 13, light yellow. And by the way, I used nutmeg on these, and nutmeg is number 33, and that's what I used on the streaking. And then I used the shading red, which is number 23 for the dry brush look. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put my paint in here. I'm going to get out one of my trusty mop brushes. And we're going to see. Okay, I ain't feeling it, so here's what I'm going to do. If you ever had a situation where you feel like your yellow is too transparent, you can always do this. Let's put some white in here and give this yellow some body. In other words, I'm going to take this yellow. It's going to make it a little bit lighter yellow, but I'm okay with that. And I'm going to give this yellow some opacity, so when we put it on the board, you can't see through it. See, right now you can kind of see through it. Not too terribly bad, but if you'll put a little white, that'll kind of help. It does turn it a little bit lighter, but I'm okay with that. You just kind of sit here and stir, 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 stir. Kind of same thing when you go to the paint store and they put it in that little bucket or that little cabinet and it goes around and around and around. So I'm going to wipe some of this off because I've got a lot of that yellow here that's pretty transparent. So let's give it a try. I'm going to pour out a little bit. I'm going to load my brush, and you can see the difference in the color, but you can also see that it's covering a lot better and it's hiding the brown, which is really what I want it to do. Yellow is very, very transparent. Red can be the same way. If you'll put a little, now you can't put white in the red. If you're having trouble with red, I wouldn't put white in there. I would put a gray or a brown. You could get away with that. So I'm going to pour a little more paint here. Load that brush up. And do like so. And you get the idea. I would go ahead and paint all of my yellow petals on the whole project. That's just base coating is all about getting a lot of paint on the board. It's basically what it is. Now, for purposes of time's sake, I'm not going to worry about finishing all the yellow on this board because I have another board to show you. But you can see I just mixed a little bit of white with my yellow, and that gave me a pretty good foundation to cover up that dry brushing, which is all I really care about, right? All right. Let's trade boards here for a minute. Hold on. a second and I'll be right there. Okay. So I showed you guys how to dry brush. I showed you how to do your yellow base coat. I went ahead and finished one of these guys just to play around with, but I'm going to show you what I did, and so you can see it on this guy. Okay. Now, I kind of played around with this till I found kind of what I think I like. You know, it's kind of like you just don't know for sure on some days what you're going to turn out with. So what I did on this guy, this is that number 13 yellow. This is a nutmeg 33, and this is that shading red. I just took it and did a little bit of a shade right there. In order to make my petals kind of the way I wanted it, one thing I did that I started with that you might try if you want that kind of look, I would start with shading brown. And this is almost like dry brushing. You do not want a lot on there. So here's my shading brown. I'm going to tip it up a little bit. Doesn't matter, just some kind of surface to kind of get it off. And what I did is I just took my brush and I just did like this. Kind of think of it as dry brushing. You do not want a lot of paint on there. We're going to cover this up, but this is going to kind of give us our base to make this part look dark. Let's see, I'll put a little more on there, kind of take it off. A little more, take it off. A little more. And just do something like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're not trying to get all perfect looking. Now once you have that, get a little bit more here. You've got what I like to call the base of your shade right here. After that, I took shading yellow. I'm not even washing my brush. Just pick up the shading yellow, wipe it off. Come back right on top of it. I'm putting it on the brush, I'm taking it off the brush. Now on the yellow, honestly, it would be okay with me if I got a little bit more yellow on here than I did have the shading brown. So let me put a little bit more on here. And notice on the yellow, I'm going to be deliberately kind of coming out towards the end of the petal. And take those strokes out like that. Okay, and then kind of come all the way. Got to put a little bit more on here. And a little bit more like that. That's my shading yellow. Here's my shading orange. Now I'm not going to put near as much orange. It's very easy for this orange to overpower. So I'm going to kind of be conservative with it because it's really, really bright. But I'm going to put a little bit on there. Not near as much as I did the yellow. Right there I actually got too much, but I'm going to leave it alone for right now. A little bit more sporadic than what I did on the yellow. I would say on the shading yellow is what I put the most amount of paint on here. Okay, so I think I've kind of got it where I want it. If you want more brush strokes, just kind of come in here and do that. It's really kind of just playing with it till you get it the way you like it. Okay, so I did that. Let me see if I can find what I actually mixed the other day. All right, this color is a mixture. I took shading yellow and shading orange. I didn't care for either one of them for my outline. I put a little, about half and half, 50-50, and I made this. So 50% shading yellow, 50% shading orange, and this is what I came up with. This is what I'm going to outline my petals in. Got to stir, 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 stir. And of course, I'm going to use my script liner brush. Excuse me. Danae, she says, wow, that's beautiful. Thank you, Danae. It's just really kind of sitting here playing with the colors till you get them the way you want them. And I'm going to kind of, now my CNC line is kind of deep, so I'm going to have to put quite a bit of paint on there. I'm just covering up that CNC line. That's all I'm doing. That's the cool thing about the CNC. It's going to keep that line there no matter what kind of paint you put on it. And I'll probably bring this one in a little bit, and I'll probably do this. And that's probably all I'm going to do except put a highlight on it. It's kind of a special, oh, I don't know, balance, judgment of balance, however you want to say that, about when is enough and when is it too much. So you want to put enough on there, but you don't want it too much. And notice that I deliberately decided not to outline or shade this area because I really want this to look like it's going off my board, okay? So I'm going to come over here, going to do that. And I'm just filling in that CNC line. Maybe do a couple of swipes there. You don't have to mix the paint like I did. If you like the outline or the shading orange as your outline or the shading yellow, either one of them would work. I just felt like I needed something in between. So I'm very famous for doing that, y'all. Okay. So I'm going to come in here. I'm just going back and forth. That's all I'm doing. Now, I like that. So what I'm going to do, you got a little foam pouncer. Anything that you can find around your house that would make a circle. It doesn't matter. It could be something like this. It could be anything you think that's round. Twist a little bit, pull up. Twist a little bit, pull up, and twist and pull. Okay? Then I'm going to go to, let me stir this up a little bit. This is shading orange, this is shading yellow, this is shading orange. Notice I didn't even clean my shader, did I? I really got too much on that one. Okay, I'm going to put him in the water. I'm going to get my script liner out. I'm going to put a little bit of white on here. Y'all know that we always say it's not finished till I put a little bit of white on it. Now, for my dots in here, I'm going to hit this bottom. I'm hitting it pretty hard to where I make the point like that. Okay, I just kind of lightly dabble it. Just wherever I think I want it. And ladies and gentlemen, that one's done. As far as that guy, he's done. what I'll do is I'll turn around like so, and I'll do this side. We're going to do this one, okay? And it's going to be just the same thing that we just did. That is if I can find my brush. Oh, here it is. Let me get the water out of it. Remember I said we started with the shading brown. And it doesn't take but just a dab of paint. And I'm going to kind of just make it like that. This is basically dry brushing. I'm not making this brown layer as long or as far out as I'm going to do the shading yellow, because I'm trying to get it to stay kind of close to the center to give it that shaded look. Miss Victoria said easy. Yep. I think dry brushing is probably one of the easiest things you can do, because it's not supposed to look uniform or finished or anything like that. It's supposed to look kind of rough and raw. Okay, so I've got my shading brown. Now I'm going to go back to shading yellow. And let's see, shading yellow is number 14. And honestly, I'm going to put more shading yellow on here than I did of anything. That actually picked up some stuff in here that was the shading orange. That's not what I wanted. Kind of bringing that out like that. With the dry brushing, it's almost kind of hard to get enough paint on the board when you're dry brushing. You have to do a lot of different strokes to get enough paint on there. Okay, and I'm going to go to my shading orange. I love the sunflowers. To me, sunflowers are always in. Okay, got my script liner. Here's my mixture of shading orange and shading yellow. I just mixed the two of them. Got my script liner. Come over here. I don't think I can see y'all's comments, so I'll have to address them afterwards. I've got this camera at a different angle than what I'm used to. And I think the downside is I can't see y'all's comments. I can see one comment and that's it. Trying to get enough paint down in there. Okay. Let's just outline the center. Alrighty. I think I'm good. I'm going to get that foam pouncer. Oh, and don't forget, this is shading red. I just did a shade of with that flat tip brush and shaded right there. So this is my shading orange. Put it down, lift it, twist it, lift it up. Down, twist, up. Down, twist, up. Down, twist, up, and down, twist, up. I think the secret too is also making sure they're very random. Notice that that does not make any kind of pattern, and that's what I wanted. Okay. This is the vertical lean-to porch sign, Jason. How are you doing? It's got sunflowers on one side and the word welcome on the other. We did a little bit of the welcome, but we're going to get back to the welcome. And it's got some attachments that we'll be doing. All right, this is my shading yellow. And again, I'm not trying to make it look patterned in any way. I'm going to get my strip liner back out. Load it with white. First of all, I'm going to put a little bit of white on here and do this part. Not a lot. Just a little bit. Okay. Got that. Now I'm going to hit the bottom, hit the bristles all the way to the bottom and kind of make that brush get big like that. That's what I'm going to do my smaller white polka dots with. That is what I would consider the back side of your welcome sign. Let me just kind of pick it up and show you. Not really hard, just following some steps. And here is our sunflower, and then of course the back side is the welcome. So let me go put this under the dryer and get the other side. Now I deliberately left this E off. I just wanted y'all to see me base coat it. There's no reason to see me base coat everything. But on this, what I normally do on something that large, got my strip liner and I'm going to outline the E first. Because these are pretty deep grooves that the CNC put here. So I'm going to do this, kind of do this and outline it. Make sure I've got a crisp, clean line on that perimeter. Filling in those grooves right there. Like so. Okay. I'm going to get a mop brush. I'm going to mop that paint in there now. All right, I got my E pretty much the way I want it. Okay, so on our welcome, we're going to have attachments. But now, one thing you can do, and it's strictly up to you. Let's just play with this for a little bit and see if we like it. Now, the word welcome has really large, wide, bold letters. Okay. Here we go. So now I'm not going to do it on the E because the E is wet. I'm going to do it over here. Let me put a little bit more paint in here. A little more water. Oh Lord, my bottle's leaking. Hold on, y'all. Okay, let me wipe that off. Good thing all that was dry. Okay, we're going to stir this up. This is strictly up to you. I'm going to put a little decoration around these letters. If you don't like that part, then you don't have to do that part. Can I buy the sunflower one already painted? Sure, sure. Just send me a message on Facebook. I should have one of these for sale. Okay, so I've got my script liner. I'm going to load it up and I'm going to start like a dot, and I'm just going to kind of do some squiggles. You don't have to do this if you don't like it. Dot, squiggle. Dot, squiggle. Not trying to make it perfect. Not trying to make it anything other than look kind of handy, homemade. Just kind of brightening up the piece a little bit. I'm doing a dot ever so often. I'm not even making, you know, a calculated area between my dots. It's just kind of random. And all I'm doing is putting a dot and then just squiggling my brush. I do have quite a bit of paint on here, but you know, it's kind of whatever you want to do. I think that kind of gives it some personality. So I like that. Now, if you don't like that, then you know, you don't have to do that part, right? Let's try to turn it to where y'all can see it. Okay. Dot, squiggly. Dot. Don't you like that word squiggly? It's such a scientific word. But I like the idea because it just kind of gives it some pattern of decoration. Let's go here. Yeah, when you start doing something like that, it doesn't take long to see. It's the randomness, if you will, the non-uniformity that makes it cute. It's not totally uniform, and I think that's what makes it cute. Okay, then I'm going to do this E. Connect that. It's just a squiggly and then a dot, a squiggly, then a dot, a squiggly, then a dot, a squiggly, then a dot. Nothing scientific about it. but not least, we have our W. And then, I think what I'll do is I'll do the whole outside of the board in this pattern. I like to say it's giving it some personality. Okay, so I would do my E, but my E is still wet. Okay, so let's go do the board though in this color. Let's see, I'm gonna try the white. Now I'm gonna have to make it a little bit bigger here simply because this area is bigger. And notice I keep putting a lot of paint on here. Now, if you don't like the white, you could always do it in a darker, like a black color, or even a dark, dark brown. It'd be interesting to see what you guys come up with. And notice how the repetition of the pattern just kind of gives it a little bit of what they call visual interest. I call it giving it personality. You guys are going to start seeing some advertisements. We're going to do a pumpkin challenge. You'll hear about that in the next few days. I think we'll have some advertising going on that. All right, almost done. It's a lot of squiggly lines and dots, isn't it? Lots of squigglies and dots. All right. So that's my welcome. I'm not going to do the E because it's not dry yet, but that's my welcome, and I think it's pretty cute. Didn't spend a whole lot of time on him. Let me kind of do him this way so you guys can see. There we go. There we go. Okay, let me set this over here. I think I saw a question about craft shows. No, we don't. It's all we can do to keep a store going. Most of our items are really large, or not so many of them are that we do. And it's really hard to do those and carry them around and tote them, so we really don't. Thank you, Debbie. Oh, no. Okay, so here's the deal on our little attachments. I got Bobos, y'all. So our attachments are made out of MDF. I chose to do that because I was kind of concerned if we go MDO, they're going to be they're going to be heavy. I'm worried about them falling off. I would attach these with some Velcro. And now you've got, obviously, you got two different ones for Halloween and fall. This could be for spring. I'm going to do this patriotic for, you know, July 4th, Memorial Day, whatever, Labor Day. We've got Easter. We've got Valentine's Day. Where's my Santa hat? I know we have a Santa hat somewhere. What the heck? Oh, right here. Here's my Santa hat, y'all. So we've got Christmas, Valentine's, patriotic, Easter, fall, excuse me, and spring. Man, it makes me so mad I messed this up. All right. You're going to see me kind of sit here and pick this off with my nail. Okay. Now what I would do probably on these two, I'm going to just do some shading on them right quick with a small shader. Hold on a minute. There we go. I've got my shading red. I'm just kind of picking that up and I'm just going around the outside of it. This is a new brush, and so you can see I'm going to have a hard time getting enough paint on here. I'm going to bring this up like so. Kind of come over here a little bit more. And do the same thing on my Santa hat. Like this. There we go. So I've got enough red on there. Probably what I would do on my heart. You can do anything you want. But probably what I would do, I'll kind of wipe that off on that white a little bit. Twist it a little bit. Come over here and load it. Twist it a little bit. Go back and load it. Twist. Load it. Twist. I'm going to put a little bit more over here. I'm loading it over here. Twist, twist, go back and load it. And these are little cheap foam pouncers. We have them at the shop. Probably can get them at Walmart, Amazon, any of those places. Come back over here and load it. And something like that. That's probably all I would do for Valentine's Day. Now, for the rest of my Christmas, to make him look good, I think I would do some, I'm going to come back with this. I'm going to use a script liner on the same shading red and just kind of come in here like so. This needs some water. It's too thick. All right, let me keep going here. Joyce says, looks wonderful. Thank you. That's always nice to hear, isn't it? I don't know what it is about us, but we love to hear, or I love to hear a compliment, I'll tell you that. I try to, I know I'm getting older because I try to be good about giving them. I don't think when I was young I thought about that. Now I've watered it down too much, y'all. But that's okay, it's paint. We can deal with it. We can deal with it. And then I would do the same over here, just put a little bit more red on there. Kind of come up. And I would come over here with this guy and give it a little bit more red, just on that very, very outer part. Very, very outer. Close as I can get on that edge without hardly being on the edge, if that makes any sense. So I have my 2 Christmas attachments just about done. All I got to do on the Santa hat is do just a couple swipes up here, like that, and like that. There we go. That's my Santa hat. So those 2 pieces are done. Okay. See, they're so little. All right. Now what I would do, I'm going to kind of do these 3 together. We're going to pretend I didn't jack that up, even though I did. Okay. And I'm going to get out my trusty brush. I'm going to put some water in here. I'm going to try something a little bit. Got some water, just water, nothing else. Paper towel. It's another way you can kind of do some shading. You can put your, y'all heard us talk about getting water on your brush to make sure you have some water. Just kind of sit here and do that. You'll get a lot of that water back out, which is what you want. And you can do this. Let's try this. I'm gonna kind of do it that way. See I'm getting a good shade that way. Okay. So I put a little bit more on here, and I'm just gonna kind of do that. Kind of loading that brush. Because this is a small piece. And notice that when I do that, and I kind of bring it over here and blend it in a little bit, it gives me a softer shade. Just a softer one. You might try something like that. I kind of like that sometimes. And then I would just kind of come in here, pick up a little more paint, and do it like that. Now I got to pick up some more paint here. I'm going to come over here. And this is just giving me a softer shade. If you don't like it, if you think that's too soft, then you can just, skip the water part and skip this part. This is actually what I'm doing on this part. It's called blending more than shading. What I'm doing on the paper plate. And then of course I cannot forget my candy corn. I'm going to put a little bit more paint there. I'm going to kind of bring this down. Alright. I'm going to come back and fix that later on, but I would probably do something like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to clean this brush out. I'm going to do the same thing with yellow. Okay, I've got water in here. I'm going to kind of do that, get the water out, if you will. Got my shading yellow, and I'm going to tip it on kind of like that diagonal, like we always do. Kind of come over here. See the pretty shade it's giving you? It's just a lighter, more blended look, I think. Okay. And then of course you come over here. And you really can't tell it, but I'm bearing down pretty hard on my brush. And that's just going to give you a softer looking shade. Probably what I would do up here on this white is I would do something like this. Okay. Now let's do our yellow over here on our little flower. And you're just gonna kind of go around the outside. Ooh, that's too big. I gotta go get a smaller brush. Let me get a smaller brush, y'all. That's too big. Okay, this one is a number 10, so it's pretty small, okay? All right, I'm gonna dip it in the water. I'm gonna take it over here to my paper towel, get some of that water off, and then I'm just dipping it in like I normally do. And that's going to give me kind of a fine stroke for a little piece. Let me pull this down so maybe y'all can see better. Okay, so I'm going to load that brush. I'm going to come over here and kind of unload it, if you will. And it just gives it a very, very thin, blended look. That's the cool thing about painting. So many things you can do. I'm losing my water. Where did I do with my water? There it is. I'm going to dip it in my water and take it back over there because I'm just losing some of that moisture. Okay, I'm going to go this way. And that way I've kind of got a softer looking flower. Something like that. You know, kind of whatever you want to do. I just wanted to show you that as another technique. Doesn't mean you have to do it, but it'll give you a softer look. Okay, so this has to have a little bit of shading brown. I've got this small shader because this is a small pumpkin. Okay, then I'm going to do dark green, wash that out, dark green, put some water on there. I got my paper towel. This is a really small leaf, so I'm not going to have a lot of room to do a whole lot with this guy. I'm going to kind of come out this way. Like that. I think he's cute. Now on my blue, I really like just the idea. Doesn't mean you have to do it. If you don't like that idea, you don't have to do it. But on my blue star, we'll kind of let this dry for a little bit. I'll come back and do a little bit of outline on that. I just kind of like the idea of just white polka dots. Now you could always make them. We could just do some white polka dots. And then, how about, I'm actually going to use this shading orange, orange red instead of Santa red, or instead of Christmas red, I guess, because this is a little bit lighter red. That's it. That's all I think I would do on that guy. I get a little bit more paint. So you got that attachment. Let's get our script liner and do these 3 pieces right here. Won't take long. And we will have these guys done. I think I kind of like the idea of the blended marigold or shading yellow and shading orange. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to come over here, up and down a little bit right there. Kind of come up. This actually needs some water. All right, hold on, y'all. How about that? Okay. Let's move it so y'all can see a little bit better. I'm going to kind of come around just doing a little bit of an outline on this guy. Okay. And can't leave this out. I'm going to do a little bit of this guy right here. This is shading red right here. Shading red is going to go around this guy. Okay. I'm just going to do the dark green. Put a little bit of water in here. I'm going to do the dark green outline on the leaf. I'm not going to do black. I think black would be too harsh. All right. Okay, I'm going to load that up, kind of come in here. I'm not trying to be nice and straight. I'm kind of giving it a little bit of a squiggle to it. Okay. Now what I would do on this guy, I take this script liner and hit it really hard on the bottom. Got a couple of dots here on that one. Wash it off. A couple of dots here, hit that really hard and load some paint on the tip of that brush. And I might just kind of do a little bit. I wouldn't do a whole lot. I'm not going to cover that up much. Just kind of a light. I'm going to put white on there. I'm going to kind of do white like that. Kind of hit it really hard. And do some white. Now I need some white here, 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 up here, and a little bit in here. Not a lot, just a little bit. And I'm going to need some, just kind of put some white in here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attachments, 6 attachments done. Okay, Santa hat, heart, patriotic star, sunflower. Put that over there. I got to do an Easter egg. And my pumpkin and my candy corn. Do an Easter egg and we're done. We'll have a sign for year round. Year round. honestly, on Easter eggs, anything you want to do probably is going to be fine. Now this is a smaller egg, so what I'll do is I'll start with something like this. Hold on a minute. Kind of put something here like that. Okay, to where I can kind of get in here. Load that up. And I would probably do something like this. You can do any design you want on an egg, it really doesn't matter. Kind of do something like that. And something like this. I've always found if you get the top and the bottom straight, then you're going to be good. In other words, if you get the ovals looking straight. Okay. Okay. And how about let's do some pink. Let's do some pink. We're almost done, y'all. Yep, you can change colors. You can have, you've got, there's so many things you could do. But yeah, you're gonna have a great lean-to. Probably what I would do is something like this. Okay. Clean that brush off. I'm going to go with a script liner now. A bigger script liner. This is the number 6, I think. I've got my shading yellow. Now y'all are going to pretend for a minute that this is dry. I know it's not, but we're going to pretend. Okay. I'm going to hit this really hard. Let's go up here where you can see a little better. I'm putting a lot of paint on there. That's too wet, so I'm going to do it here. Okay. And let's do, how about some orange? And there we go. Just about got it finished. I'm going to put a little bit of white on this guy. I think he needs a little white and we're done. Watch what happens when I start to put white on this guy. He goes from kind of like dull to bright. And again, I'm not trying to do any type of pattern. All right. Thank you guys for being so patient. I know it was long. But we are going to, let me look at my calendar. So this is July. Okay, so today is, I'm sorry, this is August. Y'all don't even know what day it is. So today's the 7th. So on Sunday, Miss Victoria is going to be doing those witches' legs. And I hope that you guys saw that post where I shared her, put this up here where maybe y'all can see me, where I shared her photo because I thought she did such a good job. So you guys make sure and tune in. I'm so excited to watch Miss Victoria because I want to see that purple shading especially that she did on the boot. So that's at 7 o'clock on Sunday. Ashley will be in the academy on Monday. No, me in the academy on Monday. doing the Hey Y'all Scarecrow round door hanger. You know, we don't do door hangers a lot, but I could not resist this one. So that's on Monday. And then Painters Club, actually, I'll be there Wednesday doing the boo letters and the boo that I actually started this with. Ashley will be in the Painters Club on Thursday with the Candy Witch hat. So Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. 4 days. Y'all make sure you tune in. We'll be having a pumpkin opt-in challenge. You'll be seeing that. It'd be super cool if y'all do that with me. I'm going to try to do some different shading that we've never done before. It's a little bit kind of like what I was talking about tonight with the water. And hope you guys have a great evening. Thank you for hanging out with me. I know it was long, but it was a double-sided sign. So hope y'all have a good one and have a great weekend. Miss Victoria, I'm looking forward to what you're doing on Sunday. And we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.